The Dalai Lama has announced that he will have a successor, ending speculation that he could be the last person to hold the title. The Buddhist spiritual leader said a group that he has created is the only authority that can recognize the next Dalai Lama, but China claims that it has the authority to choose his successor. The Dalai Lama has lived in exile since China annexed his native Tibet.
As the Dalai Lama turns 90 this week, he is preparing for one of his most important tasks, planning for his own succession while still alive. The spiritual gathering this week in Dharamshala has drawn senior lamas and devoted followers from across the world, all waiting for what comes next.
In accordance with all the requests by my devotees and students regarding my reincarnation, I am affirming that the institution of the Dalai Lama will continue.
Born in 1935 in a remote village in northeastern Tibet, he was just 2 years old when he was recognized as the reincarnation of the 13th Dalai Lama. But history had other plans. In 1959, the young Lama fled Tibet following a failed uprising against Chinese rule. Since then, he has lived in exile in India, focusing on the Tibetan cause of freedom. In Dharamshala, many of his devotees are anxious. They worry about the future without him. The Dalai Lama has made one thing clear: his successor must be born in a free country, not under Chinese control. China disagrees. It insists that it alone holds the authority to appoint the next Dalai Lama, based on centuries-old tradition.
We will not worry about these procedures, but rather about what will happen in the future with the Tibetan causes. But yes, we are worried. The big storm is coming, but for that, we are not escaping from that.
Challenging China's claim, the Dalai Lama has urged his followers to reject any successor chosen by Beijing. As the world waits for a new Dalai Lama, tensions with China are inevitable. The Dalai Lama's message, however, is unwavering. The soul of Tibetan Buddhism must remain free.
For more on this, we're joined now by Lobsang Sangay, the former head of the Tibetan government in exile. He's now a lecturer at Harvard Law School and joins us from Boston in the United States. Good to see you. So, the Dalai Lama has announced that his successor, thank you, his successor will be chosen according to the procedure that he and his followers determine. Tell us, why did the Dalai Lama wait until now to confirm this?
Actually, he stated in 2011 that at the age of 90, he will make a decision whether the reincarnation of Dalai Lama should continue or not. So in the last 14 years, as per the request of Tibetans and Buddhists around the world, that the institution of Dalai Lama should continue and the reincarnation of the 14th Dalai Lama should take place. So he has, listened to the appeal and blessed us with this clarity that his reincarnation will be born and born in free world outside of China. And his office, Ganden Kodang, will coordinate the reincarnation process.
What message is the Dalai Lama sending with this announcement today, particularly the part saying that his successor will come from the free world? Whatever that is. Maybe you can tell us what that is.
I think clearly, it will not be in China because China is not free. 6 million Tibetans are repressed. So it's a clear message to Beijing that Beijing, you have no right to interfere in the selection of the next Dalai Lama because for the 60 plus years, you have vilified and criticized Dalai Lama, calling him, wolf in sheep's clothing, and destroyed monasteries and nunneries and destroyed monks and nuns. So you say religion is poison, so you have no right whatsoever in selecting the Dalai Lama. It is his decision, his personal choice, personal freedom to continue the mission and vision of this present Dalai Lama. So that's the 15th Dalai Lama will carry on outside of China.
And yet, China says it will name its own Dalai Lama, and it may well do so before one is chosen by the current Dalai Lama's colleagues. What do you make of that?
So they will try, but historically there has been, fake pope. They're called anti-pope. And what if the Chinese government decides to appoint a pope? How many Catholics will follow? What if they appoints a rabbi or imam or a Hindu Shankaracharya? How many their followers will follow? None. Similarly, Buddhists around the world and inside and outside Tibet will not follow the fake Dalai Lama that Chinese government will appoint.
Tell us more about the process of finding the reincarnated Dalai Lama. How will this work in practice?
No, he's the 14th Dalai Lama. So we have had 400 years of practice and ritual and tradition where we have, very elaborate, maybe esoteric, but for us there's a clarity. So his office, Ganden Podhang, will appoint a monk and several monks as a search party. They'll find 10 or a dozen boys, most likely, and then they'll narrow down to 3, and through a ritual, through divination. And of these 3, one will be selected or found as the next Dalai Lama. So this will be a completely Buddhist ritual, and around 600 years tradition in Tibet and 400 years as per the institution of Dalai Lama. So yes, this is a religious process, and religious leaders, as instructed by the Dalai Lama, will lead the process.
Lobsang, thank you very much for talking with us today. That was Lobsang Sangay, the former head of the Tibetan government in exile and now a lecturer at Harvard.
Thank you, Martin.